Okay, good morning to all. Yes, as the students have requested on the before last week, to do more on questions. So I thought of start up with questions today. Yes, I hope you have ready for that. Is it? Okay, shall we? I have uploaded the paper last week, last unedited paper 2016. Shall we take one of the questions which we discussed within the class before moving with the today's session? Because most of the students have requested on the before last week discuss more on questions. So that's why I thought of doing questions at the beginning. Thereafter, I'll go ahead with the session. I think we have completed strategy. I think you all have last week. You all did around evaluation and control session. Before last week, I did strategy implementation, and some more pending slides are there. I'll continue with that. Before that, shall we do one of the questions? Yes, I hope you all have access to the paper. In the LMS, I have uploaded the paper as well. Yes, online students, hope you all can take the paper there. Yes, can you take the paper? You all? Online students online. Paper okay. Okay, then shall we move with one of the questions there? Online students. You. The questions are right, okay. Okay then. Yes, one of the questions which we discussed before last week under the strategy implementation. Yeah, shall we go with the question number 4? This is a question which we, like question paper which we examined in the last year. Question number 4, part C. In here, almost all the questions under the question number 4 relevant to the strategy implementation part. Okay. Under that, we will discuss the first question is coming from that strategy implementation under corporate culture. You all can choose the part C of question number 4. Yes. The question number 4, part C. There is no one best corporate culture. An optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. This means that corporate culture should support the strategy. The question is requirement. Assess the importance of strategy culture compatibility when implementing a new strategy in an organizational context. Actually, when it's come to the question paper, I just brief about that. Firstly, you should identify in which area the question has asked. Understood what I'm telling? Specifically, you should have an understanding the question. More or less, the questions are going with the practical terms, but in respect of the theories what we taught within the lecture series. Therefore, what you all can do is, first, once you are taking the examination paper, just identify in which areas the question has focused towards. Then it's easy for you to just brief about it. From this question number 4, then as I mentioned, the question number 4 mainly from the strategy implementation part. Understood? So likewise, you all have to identify which area the question is asking. For an example, if we take the question number 2, part A, what is the area? The first one? part A. Question number 2 part A. The first one is the case study, so I just ignore. Propose the ways to implement a retrenchment strategy without creating a lot of resentment and conflict with labor unions. Which area the question has raised? Yes, any idea? Online students? Because most of the online students have requested me to do the questions, therefore I thought of doing questions at the beginning to make a recap about the session as well. Yes, online students, you all can communicate. Once you read the question, grab which area the question is. Here, propose the ways to implement a retrenchment strategy without creating a lot of resentment and conflict with labor unions. Yes? Can you all guess? It is coming under the strategic management model. Which stage or which step? Yes, as per your request only I am doing case studies because I can do another session today. Yes, I just picked some of the questions. Which area? Yes, that is very important in the strategic management paper. You have to identify from which area the question is asking, except for the case study. The case study might be coming from, sometimes it might be directly relevant to the theory, and sometimes it may be coming from practical aspects. Okay? So here, when it comes to other questions, most of the situations we link with the theoretical base. Almost all the questions, rest of the questions in the paper, we link with theoretical base with practical scenarios. Understood? So in that case, question number 2 part A, what you can say? Propose the ways to implement a retrenchment strategy without creating a lot of resentment and conflict with labor unions. Yes, can you all remember we did this part? Yes, online students, any answers? No, nothing yet. Okay. The question, read the question properly. It is coming from implementation. So here's, you can look into that. The ways to implement, that means strategy implementation is talking about. Understood? The question is raising or the question is asking about implementation part. Implement a retrenchment strategy without creating a lot of resentment and conflict with labor unions. And also it is coming with the implementation, a retrenchment strategy. The question is highlighting about a retrenchment strategy. What do you mean by a retrenchment strategy? Yes, did we discuss this part? Yes, we did it. Under strategy implementation, we discussed about this. Yes, parallelly you can move with your slides, then it's easy for you to understand the question. Yes, any answers from online students? No. Okay. Did we discuss this one on the before last week? I hope we did. We did this, no? Retrenchment strategies. Under strategy implementation, I think we did. You all not. I think you all not familiar with the online, like you all didn't came, no, at that day. Yes, we did this one. It is coming under the retrenchment strategies. The question is directly linked with this slide. That's why I told you, you can't say it is merely practical scenarios, but it is linked with theory and the practice. Okay. The question is asking is what? Propose the ways to implement a retrenchment strategy. That means the question is asking, you all have to propose some the ways and means to implement a retrenchment strategy of a particular company without creating a lot of resentment and conflicts with labor unions. Therefore, you all have to, as a strategic managers or the top managers, you all have to minimize the conflicts which is coming from the labor unions. So, with this scenario, what are the ways and means we can go with this implementation of a retrenchment strategy? So, you should identify how to answer this kind of question. How do we make a startup? Then first of all, you should understand what is retrenchment is. Okay. So, what does it mean? Retrenchment? I told you. We call synonym like in parallel or the common terms, it might be going with synonyms, downsizing or right sizing or resizing. So, why do we go with the retrenchment strategies? Yes, under these implementations. Yes, once we are going with the strategy implementation process, sometimes we have to go with these retrenchment strategies. What does it mean? Yes, can you all remember in the financial crisis period, what has happened? Most of the companies face difficulties to pay maybe the salaries to their employees. So, at that scenario, most of the companies adapt with this retrenchment or the downsizing strategies. What does it mean? With these financial difficulties, company might be facing hardships to pay salaries to some employees. So, in that scenario, the companies might be able to adapt the strategies like this. Actually, we have to do planned elimination of positions or jobs. Understood what I am telling? The retrenchment is merely concerned, or the downsizing refers to the planned elimination of the positions or the jobs. That means we can't just directly get out from our employees, get away from our employees. Is that so? We can't get away the employees in the organization. Then what the company can do is, alternatively, they can do they might be able to have a position to do elimination of certain positions, certain job positions of the organization. For an example, if we can take, we might be having a position called clerk or the clerical staff. Then we tend to eliminate that position, or the hierarchy, in the level of the hierarchies, we can eliminate the level called clerks or the clerical level. Then what we can do is, existing employees can manage with the workload carried out by these clerical workers. Understood what I am telling? Due to the fact that downsizing, because we did the planned elimination of positions or the jobs. In the hierarchy, there are certain levels. So, we identified that we are excluding this level. As I mentioned in the example, the clerical level. Understood what I am telling? So, we exclude the clerical level, then we can get the work done from the rest of the employees, but they have already did under the clerical or the clerks. Got the point? So, that is what we call the planned elimination of positions or jobs. Because simply, even though the firms might be, organization might be facing financial crisis situation, we can't get away the employees. Then they have their family commitments and other commitments. Understood? Therefore, we can't just get away even though the companies face any more financial difficulties within their company settings. So, as an alternative, what they can do, they can adopt a strategy like this. Got the point? That is what we call the retrenchment strategy. That is the planned elimination of positions or the jobs of the organization. So, the question is asking what? Does it asking to define retrenchment strategies? No. The question is asking, you all have to propose some ways and means to implement a good retrenchment strategy within the organizational setting without having any influences from the labor unions, without the less influences from the labor unions. Because definitely, if for an example, assuming if we are eliminate a particular level, they might be having conflicts. Because they are asking, no, why do we do the other people work? You all have experience more than me, then you all might have that experience with your organizational settings. So then that is the problem, like in the retrenchment. The question is asking that, because in order to have this retrenchment strategy, the company needs to adapt some kind of a like proper manner, proper way to do that one. Understood? Because proper communication should be there. The proper like beforehand we have to inform them why do we do so. Why do we go for this retrenchment strategy? Okay, the question is asking something like that. Therefore, you all have to propose some ways to do this retrenchment strategy without having any conflicts from these labor unions. Understood? Therefore, you know what retrenchment is now. It's clear? Clear for you all? Yes, that is planned elimination of certain positions in the organization. For an example, if we take the hierarchy, there are certain levels are there. Then what you are doing planned elimination or planned getaway from one of the particular, as I mentioned, clerical level. Understood? So that is what we call this retrenchment strategy. The question is asking the important ways, therefore you all can use this point. The following are some important guidelines that have been proposed for successful downsizing. Clear? There are some guidelines for that. If you all have to go for this retrenchment, you all can follow these important guidelines to do so. So that is the question is asking, simple. If you thorough with the lecture notes and all the things, I think that the question paper might not be that much difficult. So once I am raising the question, which part this is asking, but you don't know. So that is what I told you, once you are taking a paper, like once you are getting a paper, you should identify from which area this particular question is asking. Then you can go ahead with that. Yes, what are the ways and means to do this? Okay. The one way is what? Because in here it is highlighting these are some important guidelines that have been proposed for successful downsizing. That means if you all have to do the downsizing in a proper manner, these are some criteria or these are some guidelines to adhere. Understood? So what you can do? The first one, they eliminate unnecessary work instead of making across the board cuts. What does it mean? The first point. Hope we did this, but just to remind in respect of the question. Yes? Eliminate unnecessary work instead of making across the board cuts. Yes? Actually, once for an example, as I mentioned, the financial crisis is facing by a particular company, but they have to identify which areas we are going to stop, which areas we are going to eliminate. Okay, that is the point. Eliminate unnecessary work instead of making across the board cuts. That means as managers or as strategic managers viewpoint, they should identify which areas we are going to eliminate. Sometimes, for an example, if we take the research and development area, it might be very critical to the organization because they have to go with the new developments. Maybe they are introducing new products, services, etc. So therefore, we might not be going to just cut out from the R&D. And some of the functions are there in the company. That particular function might be depend on some other functions. For an example, if we can say the production and ironing in a garment, the production function, main of the production function might be, the ironing function might be depend on the production function. So interrelations are there in the function. Therefore, once we are going to eliminate, we have to understand which areas or which work we are going to eliminate. So it is highlighting eliminate unnecessary work. Understood? Therefore, if you think that this work is not necessary, yes, we can get this work done from the rest of the employees, then you can go for the elimination as we done in the retrenchment. Understood? Therefore, those things you will have to be very critical as strategic manager's viewpoint. Then, what other thing? Contract out work that others can do cheaper. What kind of things that? Yes? For an example, if you think that that particular work is outsourcing is preferable or benefited for the company, then you can go for that option. Assuming cleaning part, just cleaning, then if you think that rather like occupying internal employees, it's better for us to recruit outsiders, then it's cost effective for the company. Got the point? So then you can go for that kind of thing. That is what we call elimination. Understood? Okay. Then we have to think about the long-term efficiencies towards the company. And also one more important thing, communicate the reasons for actions. What does it mean? This is very clear cut with the question. Why? Because question is asking how to get away from these labor unions conflicts. They are definitely, once we are going with this kind of strategy, definitely employees are coming and asking from manager, there might be collusions or the problems, conflicts. We can't avoid. So we have to, as strategic managers viewpoint, we try our best to minimize them. Okay. So that is what here, the communicate the reasons for actions. Then we have to communicate the people why do we did so. Why did we eliminate the position called clerks? Got the point? So we have to communicate them why did we do so, what kind of benefits that the company can gain out of this retrenchment strategy. Got the point? So those are the things that we can do as, if we are going to do this, we have to inculcate them, yes, that is why we did. Maybe the benefits, and also you have to tell that the reasons. For an example, the company might be going for the ERP software. Then definitely there might be conflicts coming from existing employees. Why did we go for this system? It is very hectic. Definitely we have to go for the training and development, and also we have to do late nights shifting the existing system to this ERP. So likewise there are conflicts coming. Understood? So in that situation, definitely what we have to do, we have to communicate in advance. So these are the benefits that we can gain out of this ERP software. So, and what are the benefits that the employees can in turn returning from this particular software. So those things we have to communicate in advance. Understood? So those are the things. Yes, and the last point, invest in remaining employees. What does it mean? Yes? Invest in remaining employees. Actually, we did all those things in detail in the session as well. Repeatedly I am doing same thing, but as per the request of students. Yes? Quickly. What do you mean by invest in remaining employees? Yes? BOC. What do you mean by this remaining employees? Yes, as I mentioned, once we are eliminate a particular position, now the clerical workers are no more there in the organization, as per our example that we discussed. So then what we have to do, invest in remaining employees. Then that means existing employees have to get the work done, those who have performed as clerical workers. Understood what I am telling? Yeah, good. Providing training sessions. Yes, one of the online students. Okay. That means what we have to do, existing employees, we have to train them. Sometimes they might not be conversed in how to take a printout. Because they might have a high positions and they think that yes, this is not my task. But with this financial crisis or with this particular retrenchment strategies, we might have to go for that level. In such situation, we have to understand, yes, we have to get this work done by ourselves. Because we don't have any more clerical workers there. Understood? So likewise, we have to invest them in the sense we have to get sometimes we have to train them. Yes, particularly we have to get the training. Okay. That might be the answer for the question. Are you clear? Now read a question again. Is the answer is correct or not? Maybe 5 marks. I don't know exactly. Yes, how many marks? 4 marks. Just a simple thing. Yes, online students, any more questions from that particular question given? Yes, you can raise. Yes, clear with that? Any clarifications? About the answer? It's very clear-cut question because they are asking about the retrenchment strategy. So, once the company is going with this retrenchment strategy, definitely we'll have to accept the conflicts and the resentment coming from the labor unions and the employees, because they might not be willingly go out of from the organizations. Understood? They might not be, we can't get away the employees easily because we have get them inside, then we can't get away. So what we can do is, we can go for this like retrenchment is not merely telling about elimination of employees. Clearly you all have to identify, this is not elimination of employees within the organization. We can't do so. We have give them permanent or temporary, it's okay, but once they are permanent or the confirm, we can't get away from these employees like as we wish. Okay, there might be legal bounding requirements are there, therefore we can't do so. Then retrenchment is merely highlighting the planned elimination of the positions, job position. Understood? Not employees, job positions or the levels in the hierarchy. Got the point? So that is what we call retrenchment. Across the board cut. Yes, one question coming from online students. Yes. What does mean about the across the board cut in the sense, what you all have to do, you all have to eliminate only the unnecessary work. Okay? Eliminate only unnecessary work. Eliminate only unnecessary work. Here across the board cut in the sense, that means we can't, as per the wish of strategic managers or the rest of the managers, we can't just eliminate whatever the functions. Across the board cut in the sense that, for an example, maybe the board of directors might be thinking that, yes, we just cut this function. Cut away from the R&D function, research and development function. So we can't do like that in the retrenchment strategy. So we have to have proper understanding which functions might be depend on some other function. There are interdependent functions are available in the company settings. So those things we have to get aware. As I mentioned, some functions are interdependent. Some functions are paramount important. For an example, as I mentioned, R&D. So we can't just cut off. Understood? So once we are doing this retrenchment strategy, we should identify which areas we are going to eliminate. So that is the answer. Are you clear? Okay. Okay then. I hope the question, it will take more time, but the question is 4 marks in the examination. You can't wait that much of time. Huh? So I just brief about the question or the answer. That's why I take more time. So for the examination papers, 4 marks in the sense you might not be able to get more time for this kind of question. That's why I told you it's a direct question. So if you have thorough understanding about the subject or the theoretical understanding, you could able to identify or write down an answer. Clear? Answer is clear for you all? Okay. Then shall we move with another question or shall we move with the session? What's your idea? Yes, shall we move with another question, one more in the paper? Yes, when it's come to that, question number 2 from strategy implementation, and after that it might be go with the corporate governance, part B, C, D. Question number 3, that is regarding the strategy formulation. Yes, that is regarding strategy formulation. Yes, question number 4, as I mentioned at the beginning, the question number 4 is merely linked with the strategy implementation part, what we have discussed before last week. Yes, part C, question number 4, part C, read that one. Yes, are you all clear with the question? Yes, what is the question is given? Statement is given in the question. Okay, just a statement. There is no one best corporate culture. An optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. This means that the corporate culture should support the strategy. Assess the importance of strategy culture compatibility when implementing a new strategy in an organizational context. 10 marks given, so you all have to have answer in depth. There should be like in-depth analysis, not like the previous question. In-depth analysis should be there in an answer for 10 marks question given. Yes, what might be the answer? This statement is correct. So once coming to the statement, it is correct. Once they are giving a statement in the sense, it is correct statement. Then what you all have to do from the statement, you all have to analyze the given requirement. Okay? What is asking? There is no one best corporate culture. An optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. So why did I say this is from strategy implementation? So I told you once we have discussed this strategy implementation, strategy, whatever the functions or whatever the strategic management model, what are the steps in this strategic management model? What you all learn? Yes, environmental analysis, strategy formulation, then strategy implementation, evaluation and control. There are mainly 4 steps. Okay. So in that I told you at the very beginning, even though we can segregate these as 4, but once we are coming to an organizational context, it might be going in line with all these. Sometimes formulation and the implementation may be the 2 sides of the same coin. So we can't have, like, we can't just segregate, yes, formulation is this, theoretically we learn like that, but in practical terms we can't say, we cannot like segregate like this, independent functions like this. Okay, so that is what I told you. This question is linked with the formulation and also the implementation part. So question is highlighting about whatever the culture, that means once we are going to implement something new, I discussed on the case study as well. If it is something coming as a change to the organization, employees are not willingly accept. Why the reason? Yes, Do they accept willingly? Or for an example, assuming you all had BOC came with the ERP software. Now are they going with that? ERP softwares? No, not yet. All automated system. Yes. I think ERP system in the sense all the functions have we amalgamate with this automated system. Yeah, most of the branches maybe. Like in that situation, I am asking, once we are going with this particular system as it is coming as a new, then employees might not be willingly accept. No, that is the real scenario in the practical terms. So what they are rejecting? Why rejecting in the sense, they might be have rejections regarding like they might be thinking this is something new. It is a hectic. Sometimes we have to train them. We have to go for the foreign training, or else otherwise training have to done. So it might be very difficult task for them, and also sometimes you all have to work late nights in order to go with this particular new system. So that is why when it's come to this question, once we are coming under this implementation, it is coming as something new, strategy or vision, mission, objectives, goals, etc., something new to the organization. Okay. So in that situation, what we have to identify, in that case, once the strategic managers are coming with the things like new, the particular change, assuming that as a term change, like manual system to automated system. Once they are come up with this new thing, the change happens, they are not willingly accept. Therefore, in that situation, as managers, we have to think about what is happening to our existing corporate culture. Understood? What their beliefs, what their values, what their thinking patterns, are they reject or are they accept willingly? So those things we have to concern at the beginning before moving to the something new. Understood? So it is something like that. The question is asking something like that. Under the implementation we discussed, there is no one best corporate culture. We can't say yes, this culture, BOC culture is best. Okay. So likewise we can't say this is the best corporate culture. So once the culture in the sense, an optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. Therefore we can say yes, optimal culture may be the culture which can have good compatibility with the existing strategy of the company. That is what it is highlighting. An optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. Therefore, once we are coming with something new, as I mentioned, we have to inculcate our employees. Don't be hurry. Yes, we are going to have something new, but those things we have to communicate in advance, because they might not be willingly go out from their comfort zones. They know this is the setup 8:30, 4:30, yes, like that. That is the setup that they have accustomed to. So in that situation, once we are coming with a particular change, we have to inculcate their mindset. So these kind of benefits are there. So these kinds of benefits as individual employees and as for the company itself. So those things we have to communicate to the employees. The question is asking something like that. Therefore, the optimal culture is the one that the best supports with the what? Mission and strategy of the company. As I mentioned, even though we can say yes, we are going with a new strategy called ERP software system. But even though there are a lot of resentment coming from the conflicts coming from the employees, we can't go for the implementation. It might be having problems, no? Having problems and the implementation is very difficult task. Therefore, in advance, we have to get them educate or get them communicate. Understood? So that is what it is highlighting. The optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. So we can't say this culture is the best. Okay? But we can say the culture is optimal or the good enough in the culture where they can have the the compatibility with the strategy and the existing culture. As I mentioned, if there are a lot of conflicts in regarding with this new strategy, then we might not be go ahead with that particular strategy. So therefore, what we can do is, here they have identified as optimal culture where it have the good compatibility with this existing corporate culture and the strategy that we are going to implement. Understood? That is what it is highlighting here. An optimal culture is one that best supports the mission and strategy of the company. This means that corporate culture should support the strategy. Understood? Then the question is like it's asking, this means that corporate culture in the sense our employees, our structures, our functions, everything. So this has to be have a good support in order to go with this particular implementation of a new strategy. Got the point? So that is what it is highlighting, underline here. Corporate culture should support the strategy. Understood? That means if the existing employees are not supporting with that, we can't go ahead. If the particular, assuming if we are telling that yes, we are going for the ERP system, but we don't have any technical expertise inside the organization, then it is very difficult for us to go ahead. So likewise, therefore, whatever the thing that we are going to implement as a strategy, it should be compatible with this existing culture of the organization. Understood? Got the question first, not the answer. Okay, that is the question given. Then what is their requirement? Assess the importance of strategy culture compatibility when implementing a new strategy in an organizational context. That means question is asking how to assess or how to decide whether this having this compatibility, strategy and culture compatibility, are they are aligning with the existing culture and the particular strategy that we are come up with. So how do we align these two when we are going to implement a new strategy in the organizational context? Got the question first? Understood the question? Answer එකට කලින් question එක තේරුම් ගන්න පැනේ? Yes? Okay, that is the question is asking. Then what might be the answer? Yes, online students, because we discuss these things at a stretch in our slides. It's not a difficult question, I think. Although I have allocated 10 marks, it will be very easy question because clear cut direct question from the slides. Here see, everything is included in the slides also. Given statement, can you all see in the PowerPoints? So you can't say it merely a practical question. So if you all have properly read the PowerPoint slides, as well as if you all are thoroughly understanding with the theoretical aspects, I think it might not be that much of difficult. Yeah, the statement is given in the PowerPoint slides. So this is the answer. How to assess strategy culture compatibility? Yes? What we discussed? We discussed this part as well, I think. Yes, what might be the answer then? This is the answer you all have to read up. Everything is there. I think it has been given 5 or 4. There are 4 sub-points under that. Then you all have to write it down that part. Yes, what they have mentioned or what it mentioned, when implementing a new strategy, a company should take time to assess strategy culture compatibility. So therefore, the companies might not be getting hurry to implement a new thing or the new strategy. Then they have to take time and assess to what extent this particular new strategy is aligned with the existing cultural context. Understood? To do so, there are some things you all have to consider. Strategic manager's viewpoint. Here the first point is the new or proposed strategy compatible with the company's current culture. That means we have to see whether whatever the new strategy is in line with the existing company's culture. Understood? That means if they are thinking that yes, it is matching, then what we can do, we can just go ahead and implement that particular new strategy. If the answer is no, then what we have to do? Assuming, although we are going to have a ERP software system automated, but the majority of the employees are rejecting. So in that situation, what we have to do? That is a question like that. The answer is no. That means proposed strategy is not compatible with the company's current culture. Then if the answer is no, then what we can do is can the culture be easily modified to make it more compatible with the new strategy? What does it mean? Yes? That means we can can we do any minor changes to the existing cultural context? Are they accepting that fact? Understood? For an example, ERP system, but we inculcate them, although it is a new, but definitely we are giving extensive training period for you all. Then they might have some understanding that yes, anyway we will be able to manage with this new system. Understood? It is something like that. If we think that can the culture be easily modified to make it more compatible with this particular new strategy, then we can go ahead with that. That means we are introducing some kind of minor changes to this culture. As it is mentioned, maybe some structural changes, the locational changes, structural changes, and training and development activities, hiring new managers. Sometimes they might be conflict that no, we don't have any technical expertise within the particular organization, although we are going with this automated system. Then we can say no worries, we are introducing new technical managers for you all, we are going to hire new employees for the technical staff, then they will manage with you all with that particular function. So likewise, we can do minor changes, then we can go ahead with that new strategy. Understood? That is the second option. If yes, we can go with that. If they are saying no, then what will happen? Yes? It's not. Answer is no. Then we have to think about is the management willing and able to make major organizational changes and accept probable delays and likely increase in cost. Yes, that means existing culture is not willingly accept these minor changes. Then company management might be thinking that yes, if that situation, can we go with these major changes to the organizational context or the culture? For an example, we can think that yes, we can't go ahead with this existing staff. What we can do is we can go to implement in another structural unit or the separate branch or the separate unit. Then we can recruit new staff and go with this particular strategy. Understood? That is what they are mentioning. They can go with this major organizational changes, not like minor what we discussed in the previous terms. So that is what the major organizational changes, and definitely if you are going with these major changes, they are thinking accept probable delays because it will take time. We can't just open up a new branch, we can't just hire the new employees, it will take time. So with these major changes, are we going with this particular strategy? So if it is yes, we can go ahead with that. Here given, if yes, manage around the culture by establishing a new structural unit to implement the new strategy. Understood? Then if it is not, they might not be go with these major changes. Then what we can do is management still committed to implement the strategy, then they can do some kind of a joint venture or partnering strategy. So they can go ahead with that. If it is not workable, we have to definitely go with this formulation of a different strategy. That particular strategy is not workable. Understood? It is not workable. We have to go with this totally different strategy. For an example, assuming we try to go with the cost leadership with this particular scenario, assuming that. So it is not workable, then we have to go for some other different strategy called differentiation or the focus, etc. Understood? Okay. Hope you all clear with that. Yes, online students, are you all clear with that? There is a summary also. I think it's better for you all to have an understanding. Here, this has been summarized about this assessment about strategy, culture, compatibility. What we discuss is in a summary form. First one, is the planned strategy compatible with the current culture? The answer is yes. Then we can go ahead with that particular culture. That means employees are willingly accept with these new changes. Okay. If it is no, what we can do? Can the culture be easily modified to make it more compatible with the new strategy? That means what we discussed, they are not willingly go ahead with this particular change. Then we have to think about whether we are going with the minor changes. Here it has been mentioned, introduce minor culture changing activities. Can we go ahead with these minor changes? If it is no, then we can go with the major changes. Yes, if we can go with the major changes, yes, then we can go for implement a new strategy. If it is not, as we discussed, if it is not matching, we have to go with the different strategy. So those 4 has been highlighted in a summarized in a like a figure. Clear with that? Hope you got the point. Now read the question again. Yes, any clarifications you all have to meet about the answer? Online students? Read the question again. Yes, you all can raise any questions if you think that this part is not clear. Yes. Yes, one question is coming from online student. What does it mean tie changer into culture? What does it mean tie change into culture? Yes, simple thing. Yes, what does it mean? I think he is asking from this. What does it mean? Tie organizational changes into, that means tie in the sense, yeah, just matching. That means for this, we discuss is this new strategy is compatible with the current culture. That means what is coming as new, here a new or proposed strategy compatible with the company's current culture. That means are they in line, aligned with the existing company's culture? Then what we can do is, we can just go ahead with this. That means whatever the new changes, and we can match with the existing culture. That is answer yes, tie in the sense we can match with that. Then no problem, we can go ahead with that. Because they are willingly accept. Because they are telling that yes, we can go ahead this ERP system. We are willingly accept with these training requirements or the training, we can manage with that. Are you clear? That is what we meant here. Tie organizational changes into the company's culture. That is, it is matching. No problem, we can go ahead. Yes, are you all clear? It's just merely matching. We can go ahead. Okay, na? Yes, any more questions? Yes, we discussed only 2 questions. That means when it's come to the examination point of view, with me coming around 14 marks. 10 marks and the other one 4 marks. But you can't take that much of time. I just telling, for the discussion only I take this much of time for that. And as per the request of most of the students before last week. Okay then, shall we move with the session? Yes, one more question in that. Don't take much time and we'll discuss. Here, question number 4, part A. Which area? Explain the significance of the corporate culture in strategic decision making process. Yes, what is the question about? Yes, the question is asking the importance of the company's culture, the corporate culture in strategic decision making process. Here's what you can say. Does it important? Yes, as we discussed in the implementation process, the culture is paramount important. It is a must. We have to think about the culture of the organization. So whatever the strategic decisions that we take, they should have to align with the existing company's culture. If the lot of resentment or the conflicts are coming, we can't go ahead. Understood? So we will discuss in a separate manner for that answer for this. Yes, what about the two questions that we discussed? Did you understand something? How to write an answer? So when it comes to the first question, what you all have to do is, what we discussed, I think question number 2, part A. Yes. Then in this kind of questions, they directly ask, propose the ways and means. But before going with that particular answer, you all can brief about what is retrenchment strategy. Then we know that the student is aware about what retrenchment is. Maybe you can link with the practical examples as well. As I mentioned, the situation like financial crisis. Understood? So they might be go with this particular strategy called retrenchment. And how do they going to adapt? Are you all clear? So once you are writing the answer, you can make your practical viewpoints as well. Then it is rich. Then we can give our 4 out of 4. If not, we have to consider whether we are starting from 2, whether we are starting from 1, 2, 3 like that. Yes, with the and also concern about the marks given and the question. Always you all have to answer, once you are I just meant about the examination point of view, once it's coming to that, you just think about this is 4 marks question. So don't write in detail. Understood? Don't take more time to write down an answer because the question marks given only 4. Marks given only 4, no? So you will have to concern about that. Sometimes with my experience I'm telling, some students are there, they just ignore the marks. Gatta paper එක හොගල් ලියාගෙන ගියා. එහෙම නෙමෙයි, you all have to concern about the marks given. Because with the time constraints, you all have to limit your answers, no? Within 3 hours time, you all have to attempt maybe 4 or 5 questions with the case study. So normally when it comes to the case study, it will take more time because you all have to read and understand the question, not like a direct questions given. In the examination point of view, the first question may be coming from the case study. Okay, but I will tell those things in the examination, like workshop if you all have. But there may be a case study. In this paper, I think it might not be included. But in your case, it is given. Definitely, there will be a case study question at the first. Okay. So, as I mentioned, when it comes to question like this, just brief about what is retrenchment. Then just you come up with they're asking the ways, propose the ways and means. That means you all have to suggest some ways how to go with this successful retrenchment strategy. Got the point? So that is the answer. And also what we discussed in this one also, question number 4, part C. Yes, it is also, the statement is given. The statement is given and they are highlighting that the best corporate cultures are not no more available, but we can say the optimal culture is one that best support with the mission and the strategy of the company. So that, like, you all can start up in this question, you can just directly go with this, how to assess the importance of this strategy, culture, component, all the 4 points that we discussed. You know, you don't want to write blah 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 because all the things are given as a statement. It has been given. Then you can just directly move with the question that they raise. Okay. Shall we have a short break? Then continue with the session. If you want any more questions to discuss, yes, online students. Otherwise, I don't want. I have to do the balance part of the implementation. I hope it's enough for you all, no? Get an understanding about how to write questions. Okay. If time permits, I'll do another question. If not, you all have to be ready with the case study. We'll discuss the case study today, partly, not at all. But we try our best to do at least part of the case study. Then thereafter, we can go ahead with the session. The balance part of the strategy implementation. Okay, then I'll have a short break, then start.